Well, welcome. It is 6 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank everybody first for coming, spending a Monday evening with us. It's kind of our first nice, cool fall evening, but I appreciate you taking some time to come and learn more information about our bond issue. As early as last February, the district announced that we were moving forward with a bond issue for the district. And then in April, we received the information that we were getting money from the OFCC Commission, and so the bond issue will be placed on the November ballot. I'm going to start by kind of going through a little bit of the history of the district and how we got to where we are and the need for the actual building. So, the high school, although it was established in 1881, the district operated independently until 1954, and at that time many smaller school districts were consolidating with larger city districts, and at that time Monroe became part of Middletown City Schools, and it operated as part of Middletown City Schools until the year 2000. And at that time, Monroe, the community was so important then to the community to be their own independent school district. It was a long process, but in 2000 they broke back away from Middletown City Schools and have operated independently for the last 24 years. In 2001, when they started the district, they used the old Monroe High School there off of McCready and the elementary building, but in 2001 the district passed a bond issue. It was all local funds to build the current building that we're in here today. And at that time, it opened in 2004, and at that time, the enrollment was about 1,500 students, preschool through 12th grade. And then by 2007, because of growing enrollment, we had already had to start moving students back into the old elementary. And currently, that building holds preschool, kindergarten, and first grade. By the way, as I go through all this, I will give opportunity at the end for any questions about anything. So, if you look again, student enrollment when this building opened was just over 1,500 students. Today, we are sitting at almost double enrollment of 2,900 students. And that was due to that growth in enrollment over those 20 years. The building capacity, this building was built to house about 1,800 students, and it currently holds 2,300 students, grades 2 through 12. So we are well over capacity, 124% capacity. Anybody that has students in the building currently understands we have elementary and art on carts and they travel. We've turned spaces, a lot of spaces in the building, we've turned into classroom space that was not intended for classroom space. We took the health room, we split it up by the weight room, we turned it into 2 Spanish rooms that are very small. The trainer's room off the gymnasium is now a junior high art building, or art room. As you walked in the building, you saw those tables and chairs. That is lunchroom overflow because the cafeterias are not big enough for our kids. There's been numerous closets that have been turned into either offices or small group areas. And then the junior high and high school media center was closed a few years ago, and we turned that into additional classroom space as well. Back in the 22-23 school year, the district started exploring, well actually 10 years ago they started looking at options for what to do about the overcapacity. But then during the 22-23 school year, we had a community facilities group that we met monthly over the entire year, and we looked at ways to address the capacity. We entered into, this is the acronym page where the state of Ohio likes to throw out lots of acronyms. We were looking to try to get a partnership with the OFCC, which is the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. That is an organization that provides money to communities to help offset the cost of new buildings, so the entire cost is not passed directly on to the community. The problem with that is you have to wait for your time. We can't just ask for it, they dictate when that money comes. So at the end of that year, we entered into ELP, which basically guarantees that we will get the money at some point, and we were going to move forward. The committee said, we're tired of talking about it, our kids need space, we need a high school, we need to do something soon. So we were moving forward, and then we got the good news last April that it was our time to receive the money through the OFCC. So that partnership will enable us to ask for a lot less in the millage. Go to the next one, Tom. So the new bond issue that is on the ballot here in about 3 weeks is asking for 3.49 mils. So that, along with the $25.3 million that we will receive from the state of Ohio, will fund a new high school. The 3.49 mils will raise about just over 36 million, and we purposely chose 3.49 mils, and I'll get into the whole funding thing here in a second, because we understand the current economic times, current economic climate. We did not feel like it was a time to ask our community for more money. So if you go to the next one there, Amy, please jump in if I mess anything up with the funding. So currently this building is being paid off at 3.5 mils, 3.5 mils, and it will be paid off in 2029. If the bond issue passes here in November, it will be for 3.49 mils. The district will cover the additional expense in the short term. We can afford to do that for a short amount of time. And then when the 3.5 mils is paid off in 2029, the 3.49 mils will roll in, and so the taxpayers will see no increase. It will just roll into that 3.49. It'll actually be like $1 decrease, but it's essentially the same tax. It will not be any increase in taxes at all. We've met with both county auditors. We have a little bit of Butler County and Warren County. They're on board with the plan, they understand it. And so, again, just because it's passing the we will not collect millage from the public until this one is paid off. So there will be, the public will see no increase in taxes. Did I get that right? Yeah. All right. On our website, and I went through a lot of these, but we have a FAQ page, and I'm just going to go through these questions because these are the questions that have come up as we've done these talks. We've done a lot of group talks. This is the one where we're opening to the entire community, but I did just want to go through all of these, and at the end, we will open it up for any questions. All right. So why does the district need a bond issue? Again, I shared with you that we are at 124% capacity. As we look at programming for students, opportunities for students, we have a great staff that comes up with ideas to provide enriching opportunities for our kids. But the first question we've always asked to ask is, where are we going to do this? What are we going to have to cut to provide this? We just don't have any more space. So that is why we need the bond issue. Now, it's long past due. Construction is going to continue to get more expensive, so the longer we wait, the more expensive it will be down the road. And the third reason is that right now we have the opportunity to take advantage of the state funding that's available to us. If the community does not pass the bond issue, then we lose out on that $25.3 million. It doesn't mean that some years down the road the community could pass a bond issue, but it would be completely funded locally, which would be a lot higher taxes. And that's just will it receive. Yes, $25.3 million. That is the rate that we will give if we enter into a partnership with them. So as we go through the construction process, they are our partners, and they help us with the decision making, but they also help us with the $25.3 million. So when will this impact your property taxes? You will not see any change until 2029, and at that time, again, it will go down slightly. There will be no increase. As a community member, you will not see an increase in taxes. This is a fun one. What is a mill? Everybody talks about what mills are. Mills are actually, it's just the rate at which property taxes are collected in the state of Ohio. So, to generate $1 for every $1,000 of, a mill generates $1 for every $1,000 of assessed value. So, and again, assessed value is 35% of your appraised value. So your property taxes are actually based on 35% of your appraised value. And a mill just generates $1 for that. And I think you've seen a number of times that for a $100,000 home, it is $122 for 3.49. And again, currently you're paying $123 for the 3.5 thousand. Clear as mud, right? If the bond levy passes, what's the timeline for construction? So if it passes, we will begin the design phase immediately. It's a 3-year process total, 9 to 12 months for design, 2 years for construction. Obviously, construction timelines tend to change depending on lots of different factors, but that's the rough timeline, about 3 years from after it passes. And what's being done now to address the capacity issues? I talked about a lot of things that we're already doing. Locker rooms that have been turned into offices, all those different things. We're currently in the process of filling in the auxiliary gym at the end of the junior high wing. It was originally designed to be made into 8 additional classrooms. That will begin in late spring. We have to weigh the positives and negatives. The community always needs gym space, but we need classroom space more right now. So I feel like that's more of a priority at this time. And that is regardless of the passage or failure of the bond issue, we're moving forward with that project starting this spring. And again, that will provide 8 additional classroom spaces. We're also working with City of Monroe, the county, and ODOT to work, which is, a long process when we all 3 of them involved. But we are adding a second drive up to main campus to help with traffic at arrival, dismissal, and events. I do not have a timeline on that because it's just been a slow process with those 3 entities involved. So. Do we offer open enrollment? Monroe they offered open enrollment for years. They have not taken any new students since 2021. As of this school year, there's less than 20 students that are open enrolled. We do allow employees, children to come to the school, but as far as just open enrollment, we do not accept any new students that have not since before I came here. And then how is a new high school decided? Again, that came out through the year-long monthly meetings with the community group. We talked about the different options, primary school, middle school, and high school, and it was overwhelmingly that group said that we needed the high school. So what is the reprogramming plan for Monroe's existing school buildings? This building will currently become a elementary and junior high school building. If the bond issue passes with the new high school, the exact configuration that will be during the planning phases, we will look at different options and where exact classrooms will go. But again, it will be the elementary and the junior high in this building. As far as the other building, we've had other people reach out to us about leasing it. We don't know what we're going to do exactly with the old elementary building, but we will get community input on that, and we'll see different options moving forward. What happens if the bond issue fails? I talked about this a little bit, that we just can't continue to operate with this many constraints with the space. So we will look at other options with missing out on the $25.3 million. If it doesn't pass with the assistance from the state, a year from now, I don't think it would have any chance of passing. We're asking for a lot higher millage, completely, totally locally funded. So we would look at options for modular classrooms, different options to help create more space for our kids. What is the difference between a bond levy and an operating levy? Operating levies are funds that, just what it sounds like, They fund all the operations of the school, salaries, benefits, transportation, supplies, everything that goes into the day-to-day operations of the school building. A bond issue would be only used for the construction of the building. So if the bond issue passes 3 years from now, I can't say, you know what, I'm just gonna, you know, we're not gonna build as much of a building and we're gonna move the money somewhere else. The bond issue goes for only paying off the debt to build a new school building. And by the way, for operating levies, this school district has not asked for any new money since 2013. There was a levy in 2016, but that actually lowered the millage. I believe that the community, when they were in fiscal emergency, they asked for that emergency levy, and then 3 years later, they did a substitute levy and lowered the millage as a thank you to help them as they got out of that fiscal emergency. Does this have anything to do with the city of Monroe's master plan? I see a lot of confusion on social media. We have nothing to do with the city of Monroe. We have a good working relationship with them, but their plans and their funding has nothing to do with the school district's funding. We're two completely separate entities. So at this time, I would like to open it up to any questions about anything with the bond issue that's coming up here in the next, it's actually 3 weeks from tomorrow.
So,
Yes, of course.
on the bond issue that was passed back, I guess, in 2001.
Yes.
How many years was that projected to go for?
When you pass a bond, she can look it up here for a second. When you pass it, like this one will be passed to be no more than 38 years. So it would be paid on for no more than 38 years. And the reason they say no more than 38 years, depending on interest rates and how you invest, it could be paid off sooner than that. But with a projection would be no more than 38 years.
I mean, obviously, the school district has grown because of new development in Monroe. So when the new residents come in, aren't they subject to the bond issue levy that's already there? So aren't you, in a sense, collecting more
Yes.
taxes towards that?
It was originally passed at 8.61. And so as it has grown, it has lowered the millage, and now it's down to 3.5.
So as you get new people in, you lower the millage?
Yes. Well, as every 3 years when property values are assessed, the millage goes down. In fact, just the last time we were at 4.5, and now we're down to 3.5, just 2 years ago.
Yeah, and that's one of the big differences between an operating levy and a bond levy. We collect enough that will allow us to make payments according to the amortization schedule. We don't collect much more, we don't collect much less. We have to make those payments, and they move the millage based on what is needed to make the payments for the year. So they take into account what we have currently in our debt, or the debt retirement fund, and the county auditor actually does a calculation. So for example, this year, because of the increase in valuations, we were collecting 4 mils on the current debt as of 2022 tax year. We were collecting 4 mils, but for 2023 tax year, which is what you pay in 24, it actually dropped down to 3.5 mils because the valuations went up, which means every mil is worth a little bit more. So we needed to collect less on that particular debt to make those payments for this year.
So we will have an actual additional valuation before 2029. So the chances that it's 3.49, it will probably be lower than that, but we can't predict that. We don't know what property values are, so we can't promise that, but we know more than 3.49.
When will you get the 25.3 million from the state?
It works in coordination during the construction process.
So they don't just give it to you?
No. It's, you work with them, and it's a salary. As you're building construction, there's certain fees due at certain times, and we pay our portion and they pay the portion. So they don't never actually give us the money, they pay their portion of the bill.
Okay, so the new school that is built, are you building for the future, or are you just building for what the enrollment is now? So in other words, in 10 years,
Yep.
are we going to be in the same situation we are now?
We've done 2 different enrollment studies. We have flatlined some, but we are building to for growth. And that's part of the reason that we're doing the 8 additional classrooms now, because once the 4 grade levels move out of here, we will have more space, but that 8 additional classrooms will give us space for 200 more students growing. We will, we can't build for, hopefully, that we have 16 empty classrooms, but we are building for some moderate growth according to our enrollment projections. Okay. Yes.
You said that the new high school is going to be built on current sports fields. Do you have an idea of where exactly it's going to be?
We don't know exactly. We did during the facility committee community meetings. We did some initial site studies, and we looked at the different options and how it would affect traffic flow with the second drive. And tentatively, we think the best spot would be one is the flattest, because moving, if we did over here on any of the hills, that's a lot of that expense with moving dirt and that sort of thing. So in between the baseball diamond and Butler Tech is a very nice flat area. It's just some practice fields. It'd be a lot cheaper to put in some additional practice fields than to grade an entire sloping hill and all that stuff. But when you partner with the state, all those decisions we make with them, so nothing has been finalized. But it will be somewhere on this property. We have a total of 138 acres on this property.
These are real nice sports fields. You like hardwood sands and could be purpose.
Okay. Yes.
You said you were basing the size of the school that needs to be built on enrollment projections for growth. How far out into the future? This school will be okay for 10 years?
They do a 10-year projection.
Okay.
Both of them. And beyond 10, is anybody's guess. So,
Yeah.
but we are projecting for some moderate growth. Yes.
Do you anticipate asking the community for an operational levy within the next 4 or 5 years?
No, in our latest 5-year forecast, there's no operating levy in the next 5 years. This district, and I'm not taking credit for it because it's long before I got here, they have done a phenomenal job being fiscally responsible. And they have, with the growth and just taking care of our kids and the district, there's no, like I said, they haven't asked for new money since 2013 and projected there's nothing in the 5-year forecast as well. Yes, sir.
If, as you say, the increased growth has to do with the new communities that moved in, are you getting anything from the contractors, or is there any onus on the new people moving in? Are they paying a extra on their new houses? I mean, we've already paid for this school.
Yeah.
They're coming in, and now we're going to pay for their school too.
They will not pay anything additional, but they will, I just moved here, we built a house last year, so we, our taxes kicked in as soon as we moved in.
But there's nothing, because it's a new development coming in, they're adding to the level, they're not paying anything other than what everybody else is paying.
Right. Correct.
Is there some way to correct that?
I
I've heard of
don't,
some communities in which there's a surcharge on new sales of homes, based if you're moving into a district that funds where your kids are going to go to school.
I'm not aware of anything about that, but that is something.
I'm not sure that Ohio state law currently has any provisions for that. I haven't heard of that before, so that would be something different. Yeah, I mean, the tax rates are applied equally to all properties unless they qualify for some sort of exemption, like, as a public school district, we are exempt, we need to pay taxes. Churches, they don't pay taxes, but other than that, the tax rates are the same.
Yes.
I know within the last couple of years, there was some work with that Monroe did with some of the other area districts going to the state, where we're a cap school district for funding. If that ever gets straightened out, will that affect the operations budget or the building budget at all, or is that just per?
It has been fixed. They have, over the last 4 years, the funding has increased, we're almost completely whole, and then this last budget, we should be whole. And that increased funding is what enables us to cover that 5-year gap, and without passing any additional taxes on to, that's part of the formula that's gonna help us out there.
You said it has been fixed. Is it fixed to the point where we're not gonna get, I know it's not related to the building specifically, but where it's not gonna be like 5 years from now, like, we're way behind on funding compared to the other areas. I get
No, it is, they completely changed the state funding formula, so it's not just us, it's all school districts across the state of Ohio. Now, every time we have changes in politicians at the state level, things could change, but, you know, that I can't predict. So. Yes?
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm sorry to get in Mark.
That's okay.
I was thinking about it this way, if the land was empty, whatever property tax the treatment of that would be low, and then once you build $600,000 house on top of that, you would get the taxes from that. So in essence, a new house is paying like more money towards the taxes for the school. And the bigger houses and the more assistant houses, more tax for the receiving tax. So that's what I was thinking about that, you're not thinking about that they are paying forward or whatever. But the question that I have moved from another school district that copied plans. So I don't know if you've been looked into that, because at the same time with the architect, that they bought like almost like a pre-made school.
If the bond issue passes, we go through a whole, we will have to go through an architect selection with the state. They're partners with us, so they help us with that piece. They will go through the construction manager selection with us. So, of course, we will be looking, I've not heard of that before, but we definitely look into options. It's a balance of, we want the school to be something that our community is proud of, but we have to stay within the budget. So, and plan for, you know, our growth as well. So, when we came up with the budget, we did not, you know, we could have said, you know, let's shoot for the moon and ask for everything, but we felt like in this economic climate that we really needed to stick within the 3.49 mil, so there wasn't any additional taxes.
I will piggyback on that. You made a very good point about the new people coming in. You gave a little bit different perspective there. When I talked about when I talked about the bond millage being set to accommodate our schedule, yes, when people move in, then that kind of spreads. If we say, for example, $1 million to pay our debt for the year, then we're going to collect $1 million and split it among all of the residents, you know, based on their individual valuations and things. But we're going to collect $1 million, so that would be split among more people, and that's why that rate for the bond specifically can go up or down as needed. So yes, when new people move in, essentially, you know, everything saying that new house value added in should technically reduce for the bond purposes, should reduce. And that should make the profits.
Good question. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I was just saying, I looked through some of the notes, and there was the OCC.
Yes.
They weren't as big a paper just in high school. What's some of the other plans in case that happens to fall through?
So we, again, when we had the community committee, we looked at what options for a primary school were. We looked at what a junior high school, that probably made the least sense of having kids come here and then go to a different building for junior high, going back to high school, and then we looked at a new high school. So, with the different options, we get the 25.3 million no matter what. That's what we discovered through that process. If we build this, will we get more money? We get 25.3 million no matter what building we decided to build. And just the committee pretty overwhelmingly felt like a new high school was what was needed. So.
We've already passed a resolution saying to OFCC that they're moving forward with the high schools. So that part cannot change at this point.
Yeah. Yes?
You said it's a 3-year process, so if the bond passes in November, and we're able to start planning, would that be in 2020? that a school year opening?
So,
I know,
I mean, if everything went perfectly, you could even do sometimes they do a move over winter break. I would not hold my breath that it was going to be exactly on time with the way construction goes. It has to be on budget. That's the nice part about going through a school process, is that this is what the bond issue is raising, and so you have to stay in budget, within budget. So, as far as time-wise, we'll see. I don't want to say anything bad, but a neighboring school district, it was very important that they got in as soon as possible, and they moved over winter break, and they weren't completely done, and they have been dealing with issues because if they can't get people in to do punch list stuff, and they can't, so it's been so instead of being done at the end of the school year, now they're on the next school year, and they're still working on that building. So, actually, the 3-year process ending in January, that would give us some real time to make sure everything is ready to go, and we're planning ready to start next week. Yes, sir.
So I know you said you decided on a high school. Would it be, I know the city's got this big master plan, would it be beneficial to team up with the city and do something similar to what Mason did? That way it's not just, because you have people saying, oh, my kids don't go there, why should I help pay for the new school? This way it'd be more of a community thing. And then the community could, you say you want the community to be proud of it, it could be something.
We have had talks with the city about possibly doing some sort of community center and partnering with them. But again, when Mason did that high school, they funded the entire education building, and it was all the swimming pools and community center that was funded by the city. So it doesn't prevent us from doing that in the future, but I'll be honest, the city master plan is a number of years out, and we just can't wait. We do have property, we've had initial talks about how could we do something for our kids. And I've said to the city, we don't have any additional money to do anything, but we do have land, and we'd be willing to partner if it's going to benefit our kids. So. Good question. Anything else? Well, I greatly appreciate everybody taking time to come out tonight, spend some time to get some information. If you didn't get on your way in the handout that kind of summarizes everything I talked about, it also has the FAQs on the back of the one page, or actually on the back of both of them. The QR code takes you directly to our website, where it has all the information about the bond issue, anything to do with plans for the new high school. And I'll be here for a few minutes if anybody has any other questions for myself or Amy after. So thank you again, and have a great evening.